And that's because since the beginning of time, men were okay with pulling out their fucking sword and defending their beliefs with violence. Women don't have that ability. You guys are physically weaker, unfortunately. And I think that represents itself with your biology and how you think as well. So with that said, I get what you're saying. Like, oh yeah, I met women that are more ambitious. Yes, women dominate college attendance. Yes, women in general strive and earn more degrees than men. But if you look, like, men still dominate the blue collar workplace, which you still can make quite a bit of money in that women don't want to go into. So I would say if we're going to use ambition through the education system, for sure, you're correct. But if we're going to use ambition for working hard, doing manual labor that might not necessarily require a college degree, men beat women all day because women don't work these jobs.
Yeah. And unfortunately, not all of them. I've unfortunately dated.
None of them. Like 90%.
I've dated
What do you think about this? You've been quiet the whole time. Do you agree, disagree?
I agree in a way. Like, I was really about to ask, like, are you guys like 50-50 men, or you're going to do everything? Oh, sorry. Are you guys like 50-50 men, or are you going to do everything with all
That's
these
a good
rules you have?
question.
Very good question.
That's a good question, right?
Very good question.
I don't believe in 50-50. I think with authority, if you're going to be able to tell your girl what it is and everything, you got to pay all the bills and be the leader. I don't think women should work. I mean, they work in stupid jobs anyway most of the time. I wrote a whole book about this. It's called Why Women Deserve Less. Women dominate the most useless jobs, typically. They don't have jobs that run infrastructure. This is true. It's a fact. They're not involved in STEM. They're involved in social science type jobs. They're involved in social work, etc. That's all great and all, but the country would go down in flames if, like, all men decided to, like, not work, right? The lights would turn off, etc. We run the infrastructure, labor, hard laborious jobs that women don't want to do. So I don't think women should work anyway. And to be honest with y'all, most women don't want to work. How many girls go to college, get a job, make their 50, 70, 100K per year, and be like, damn, this is miserable. I want kids in the family. This sucks. Women don't have the same proclivity to go out there and earn excess resources, right? I've always said, me and Andrew have had this discussion before. Shout out to my guy, Andrew Tate. If a man makes $1,000, he'll say in a day, he'll go, damn, if I do this for the month, I'll make $30,000 this month. If a girl makes $1,000, she's like, damn, I don't got to work the rest of the week. It's not the same. Like, are there some go-getter women out there? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I would argue that most females would go with the latter, where I made enough to live and get what I want. Cool. Women look at money as a means to an end. Men look at money as a status symbol. It's a competitive it's a competitive thing that we have in us. I make more money than you, or I'm successful, because men, we value each other on meritocracy. We don't value each other like you guys do on personality and feelings and you're pretty. Like, we value each other on tangible assets. Women don't. So you guys don't have the same natural proclivity to go out there and earn like we do.
Look at OnlyFans.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It does.
I do agree. I do see your perspective.
What do you think? You've been quiet over there too.
Honestly,
Nothing.
sorry. Okay,
Is he right? Is he wrong? Is she right? What do you think?
honestly, it's been a lot of conversation, so I'm a little sorry.
You stupid.
All right, we can move on.
All right now.
Okay.
But I think that, yeah, women should just play their place, honestly. Like, I don't do too much, like, I'm not really in relationships all like that, but, like, I should just stay in my place. I do what's expected, so I don't have to hear it. Like, I know men are different than women. I know that, biologically, men are gonna have
Why'd you
different
do that
needs,
to her, man?
all that.
Bro, I'm trying to involve the whole
Yeah,
panel
I'm a
first.
little
I'm trying to let everyone talk.
but yeah, I don't know.
Okay, what about you? What do you think about the topic? Threesomes, yes or no?
50-50.
50-50 as well.
News anchor, whatever.
Men's. Okay, so you were saying that men are more ambitious than women, period.
In general.
Yeah, and I
Not
mean,
all the time.
in my life experience, I've witnessed women being more ambitious than men in quite a few cases. So I just think it depends on the person, but I think it definitely works better when the man is more ambitious than the woman. He respects himself.
In what ways do you see women being more ambitious?
School.
That's
well,
important.
I mean, I've been in relationships where I'm the ambitious one, and he emasculates himself, and then I it's hard for me to respect him. So it's just better when the guy
Were
is
you more educated than
ambitious.
him?
I believe so.
Did you earn more than he did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and women tend to, lean on their education as to why they're more ambitious, but you guys got to remember that the education system in itself was designed, right? Sit down, be, control yourself, etc. It's not necessarily a environment for little boys to thrive. It's an environment for little girls to thrive, and the reason why is because the education system, from elementary all the way until high school, indoctrinates you to do what you're told, listen, be quiet, be a nice little slave. It basically sets you up to work.
Employee.
to become an employee.
Yeah.
Work for 40 hours for 40 years, right, per week, and get 40% of your top 3 years with a pension. Like, the education system in itself is more geared towards women because women are much better at following instructions. Not necessarily. It's easier to manipulate them. Does that make sense? So, like, for example, when the mask mandates came out, right? Who's the first ones to put the masks on? It's typically the females. I mean, there were a few rambunctious ones, but the most outspoken people with the pandemic were men. And that's because since the beginning of time, men were okay with pulling out their fucking sword and defending their beliefs with violence. Women don't have that ability. You guys are physically weaker, unfortunately. And I think that represents itself with your biology and how you think as well. So with that said, I get what you're saying. Like, oh yeah, I met women that are more ambitious. Yes, women dominate college attendance. Yes, women in general strive and earn more degrees than men. But if you look, like, men still dominate the blue-collar workplace, which you still can make quite a bit of money in that women don't want to go into. So I would say if we're going to use ambition through the education system, for sure, you're correct. But if we're going to use ambition for working hard, doing manual labor that might not necessarily require a college degree, men beat women all day because women don't work these jobs.
And unfortunately, not all of them. I've unfortunately dated
None of them. Like 90%.
I've dated some lazy men, unfortunately.
Of course.
And then I've dated
most men are bums.
more
I
ambitious.
agree.
I've dated ambitious, and it works better because the man respects himself more. I respect him more, and because so I was just born with ambition, but. Yeah. It's not attractive to men. I mean, not always. It's not like men's ambition is attractive to women.
Yeah. It's not. And most men will never actually admit that like, we don't give a fuck about your career or your ambition or your education. We don't give a shit because. How about this? I'll give you an example so girls can understand it. Let's say I told you, I got like an amazing sneaker collection. I got like Jordans from the 90s. I got some fucking, Nike Dunks, whatever. And I had like a whole closet and I collected them and I just had a bunch of them. And I also had like a bunch of designer belts. Would you care?
No.
Why not?
No.
Tell me precisely why you wouldn't care.
Well, actually, I would kind of be unattracted because I don't want to be with the guy who's obsessed with fashion that much.
Would it be fair to say that that's fairly feminine? To be that involved in fashion?
Yeah, I don't want to be with a man who's having feminine traits.
Pause right here.
Feminine.
See that feeling of I don't give a fuck and this is feminine?
Yes.
That's how we feel about ambitious women.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
my sneakers, my belts, my fashion doesn't actually benefit you.
Right.
Just like your ambition and your money doesn't benefit me.
Yeah.
That's why men don't give a shit about it. And then also, if you add in all the other, traits of ambitious women, they tend to be more argumentative. They tend to be less agreeable. They tend to be, they don't have as much time for you because they're pursuing their career.
Well,
like it's like I'm dating another dude. Like we don't want to date another dude. What if you were with a guy that took longer than you to get ready every single time? You'd probably start to get annoyed and be like, "What the fuck, you bitch!"
Yeah.
Like, dude, be a guy. That's how we feel about women that are super ambitious. They tend to behave like men, and that's not attractive to us.
Right. So I think the solution, since I'm born with ambition, is to be with someone who's more ambitious. I have to find someone who's like,
which is hard to find sometimes,
who
because
works harder and and that it works better because if I'm working on my stuff, he's working even more on his stuff, and so. But it is hard. It's hard to find. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is that
now you're
when you
35,
want a
so.
hyper masculine men typically tend to be attracted to hyper feminine women. Mm-hmm. So what girls don't get. Right, and I kind of had this conversation. I've talked about this before with my sister. She's a doctor. When you're an ambitious woman, you almost shoot yourself in the foot, and the reason why is because what ends up happening is you start to write a check that you can't cash. You make a bunch of money, you're successful, but in doing so, you masculinize yourself, and then the very men that you're competing for don't want you in return because they want a feminine woman. And on top of that, your price point's up. You make $100,000 plus a year. You need a guy that makes that kind of money. The guys that make that kind of money can date a girl that makes $10K per year, and we're happy. Yeah. So that's kind of where career women shoot themselves in the foot, and they don't even know it. They think, I'm going to pursue a career. I'm going to make a bunch of money. And this is why I say feminism lies to women. And then they're 30, 40 years old, and they're like, fuck, I'm still single. No guy wants me. What the hell's going on here?
48.
I have a house. I have money. I'm successful. I got a great 401k. Why doesn't a guy want me? Because we don't want another us.
What should we do in the meantime?
Well, it's better when you
She said, what do we do in the meantime? She said that.
Exactly.
Bare minimum.
I'm sorry.
You
What?
can't wait for
What
Lucy.
should we do in the meantime?
No,
Just-
for sure. Go to school, get an education. I'm not telling you not to do that, but what I am saying is that like
don't rely on it.
don't prioritize that. Like if you find a man, like I would say find a man when you're still young and beautiful, because as you get older, it gets harder and harder.
Yep.
I agree.